What's going on, guys? Lil Will, the deity here, and I'm bringing you guys something a little different today. It is sort of an overview of this indie game that is yet to come out on Steam called Eagle Island. Now, I don't know if Pixel Nick said that's what the creator calls himself, is planning to bring it to other platforms. He has mentioned needing the funding for stuff like that, but we won't get into that in this video. But let's just take a look, a little bit of an overview at this game. So Eagle Island is a 16-bit Metroidvania inspired game by the creator Pixel Nick and his 4 other friends, but for the most part he's done all this work by himself. The sprite animations, the actual programming of the game, of the enemies, etc, etc, 95% of it is him. So I have to say that I'm thoroughly impressed with this. Just one man and all of his resources, and that includes like friends that are artists and stuff like that. So for the most part, I'm going to credit this to the one man named Pixel Nix. Go to his Kickstarter page, download the alpha of the game, give him thanks, and donate to his Kickstarter if you really like the game that much. Actually, I think the Kickstarter goal has already been reached, but I'm actually not really sure how that whole Kickstarter thing goes. But at any rate, guys, this game looks great. I love the look of this game. I love the aesthetic of it. I love that the game has 3D lighting that is applied to 2D pixel art. When you walk by a lantern or like a little flashlight, the actual light travels across his face, and that does a really good job of hammering home that you're on an island. This lighting is super realistic, and this is part of the reason I'm super excited for Project Octopath Traveler for the Nintendo Switch. It's just absolutely beautiful sprite work. So when it comes to just stuff like animation, it really excels at it. When you jump, his hair sort of bobbles up and down, his head sort of jumps up and down, he grabs onto the ledge, you see his arm there. The owl flaps have a few. When you throw them, it has these frames of animation where it spins. It has these frames of animation where you can see the white sort of sprites as it cuts through the air. When it hit enemies, there's this sort of explosion, there's this sound cue. Everything about this game so far has thoroughly impressed me, and I cannot wait for this game to come onto Steam. And if it came to other systems, I would most certainly double dip. Now, as far as gameplay goes, it feels very tight. It feels responsive. You feel like you're completely in control of the character. The combo system is great. You can keep throwing the owl consecutively at enemies to gain these gems, and these gems, they give you these powers that transform the owl into another version of the owl that takes powers from these goddesses. So like a fire goddess will give you an explosion power, the ice goddess would give you this ice-like power, and etc, etc. Not electrical goddess gives you an electric power, and I think that's great. It really mixes up the gameplay. It prevents it from becoming stale. You choose how you want to defeat bosses. It's very Metroid / Castlevania style gameplay, and I really enjoy it. Now, this series and this genre hasn't always been my favorite genre, but that isn't to say I hate it. But this game definitely is that ticket for me to get into this genre hardcore, because I just love the aesthetic of it. Now, there are these boosts, there are these pickups, there are these items you can get from chests that can actually help improve. It would line up at the top of the screen, and it would make Koji do certain stuff or prevent you from getting lost, etc, etc. And as far as the map goes, it is a very Metroid style map where you see where you're going based on these levels that are lined up on the screen, and it's very open. And what I think I like most about this game is that there's still room for more. Like, it's heavily implied that there are more levels than this one level you're given in the alpha. Now, as far as the levels themselves go, they are procedurally generated. You will never ever play the same level again, and they're all equally as beautiful, equally as challenging, equally as fun, and you might run into a boss, the same boss on this one level, and it's fairly easy, but it definitely does give you a certain bit of a challenge. It definitely tests what you know, which I think bosses should always do. So that's great. Now, back to what I was saying earlier. This game, it's so much potential here. Not only are these single levels procedurally generated, and you know you won't ever play this, open endless possibilities, literally. But in the beginning of the demo, when you click to open the door, it tells you this is where you would enter from the world map, from implying that there are multiple levels that are procedurally generated, just like this one. I can see myself putting a lot of hours in this game, folks. This is a quality game that is coming around the corner, and I think a lot of people should be wary about. And I've seen some other YouTubers do some overviews of this, and they all have some really great things to say about the game. So guys, if you really like games like this, games with a great aesthetic, some tight gameplay, a really passionate indie developer worked on it, some great music, some great island aesthetic, and some really mysterious lore as to why the guy is on the island, where Koji gets these powers, etc. I think you guys should get into this game. It is that type of game that is able to be gotten into, if you know what I'm talking about. But yes, that is pretty much all for this overview of Eagle Island, the indie game by Pixel Nix. Guys, you should check him out on Twitter, check him out on his Kickstarter, check him out on Steam, and if you haven't, let him know that you want this game, or let him know that I sent you there, saying that I gave him all this praise for this good game that he's actually created. And surprisingly enough, he spent a very long time on this game. So guys, I highly suggest that you give this, at least the alpha, a try, and then I feel like that would convince you to get the full game when it's out on Steam. Yeah, I do think he needs some funding if he wants to release it on the other consoles, so be sure you bug him about that for me. Be sure you bug him about putting it on the Nintendo Switch for me. But that's all for today, guys. A little with the deity.